All right, so now it's time to do the Colombian track. Let's see what that one sounds like. Turn off the loop. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop all my clips from playing. I don't know if I've shown you. Whoops, hold on. I realize I'm not showing my desktop. There we go. So I'm not sure if you've noticed this, if I pointed out before, but there's a little stop button over here on the right-hand side of the master track. This stops all your clips from playing. So you click on that, and any clips that are playing, stop playing. So now we got this one here. And I'm not sure if there's going to be a good thing to sample in here or not. All right, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through with the start thing here. I'm just going to start a different place and see if we can find some sample material. Cool. All right, so I'm going to grab that part. So we're going to grab this. All right, we're going to grab that stuff there and see what we can do with that. So first thing I'm going to do, is that the Dominican version? All right. Sorry, I just did a search for Colombian music and that one came up. So I just like the drums. I actually have a whole list of songs, but I couldn't find it. So, it works for sampling, doesn't it? Doesn't it work for some sampling? So what we're gonna do is hit warp, and first things first, I'm gonna get rid of all these things. I'll get rid of all the warp markers by hitting Command A, clicking on one, hitting Command A, and hitting delete. Next, I'm going to go ahead and set my 1-to-1 right here, where I'm going to turn off my grid and set 1-to-1 here. Okay, I'm going to set it over here actually. And now I'm going to go ahead and make sure. Okay. Change my warp mode to complex. Move this stuff back. And put these in like this. Move this around a little bit. That's not the right place, hold on. And it's super annoying when you're sampling this stuff, like, because you're just listening to the same thing over and over and over again. So when people are in the room with you, it's like, oh my God, make that stop. But cool. There we go, there's that. Move this around. You can add in your own transient markers by hitting Command Shift I rather. And then we got this, and my downbeat of the next bar is over here. And then this is this, boop, like that. And we got that. Now I'm going to just put a loop there. 4-bar loop. 3-bar loop. Awesome, so we got that. Now I'm just going to cut this up into the different pieces. So I've got my main whole song there. I'm just going to grab this and say, crop it, right click and select crop. And then this here, I'll move this over, put the grid back on. That one there. I'm going to crop that. I'm going to grab this part here, hold down Option, grab that, put the grid back on, grab this, boop, crop that, boom. Okay, so the beginning part, it's a bit off, so I'm just going to grab it and move it back. Now, you could see there are a few warp markers in here. I'm going to move these over. I'm going to move this back because we're off a bit. Nice. And I'm going to crop that as well. And I'm going to move this over. Sweet. So now I got all this stuff in here. This stuff is there. This stuff is here. Cool. Now let's throw this into a sampler. All right. I'm going to go ahead. Let's throw this into simpler instrument just to show you how that works, because we didn't really talk enough about simpler yet. And the stuff I'm going to show you is actually in your online notes. From when? Let's see, sampling part 2. I think it's in sampling 2. Yeah, simpler. So simpler has three playback modes: classic, one shot, and slice. And the slice mode is what we're going to talk about right now. So first of all, clean up the sample you want to use, which is what we just did. Create a new MIDI track, which is what I just did after that. And insert a simpler device on the MIDI track. Drag the audio clip into the simpler, click slice mode, and then adjust the slices as needed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to drag my sound down here, and I'm going to hit slice. And I'm going to have to do a lot of moving of this around a bit. Basically, kind of what I just did. If I want to, down here there is a sensitivity, like that. And I could turn the sensitivity down. So now it's not showing me all of them. And I don't want this part at the end. I don't want that there. Cool. And I can move these around. Let's see. Turns back up to 100%. Well, here, let's turn it back down. Cool. So now what this does is, because I just sliced it, it automatically puts these samples onto different keys on my keyboard. And if I move this back, we can see. And that's pretty cool. And I can put different ones in here by hand. I can put them in by hand. They're a little bit brighter if you put them in by hand. So if we use any of these here, like this, let's use this beat loop over here. We got that here. Use that as like a sound. We'll just stick filter on it. And so you can use that as like a starting point for a track or something like that, you know. And especially if you're making like minimal techno or something like that, you can get in there and use something for that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's just showing you some different sampling things we can do. Now, if I wanted to, like, let's say I have this drum loop here over here, and I want to take this drum loop and grab some of the different sounds from this drum loop, or here's like a drums, here's this here. Let's say I wanted to grab some drum sounds from this as like a sample library that I bought. So what I could do is I can go in here and throw this into a simpler instrument. I'm just going to drag it down where it says drop instrument here. Here, let me show you that. It says drop instrument here down here. If you're just making a normal track, it's not going to have that utility plugin on it automatically. That's just something that I have mine set up to do. So drop an instrument or sample here. I drag it down, and now I can slice this. And you can grab that, and it just grabs you each individual sample. Right, so I can just go scroll through. Cool. There's a sample, you know, a little. You can do some old school sampling like that really easy. And that just makes your life so much easier. It's like unbelievable how much easier that makes your life. Pretty dope stuff. Cool. Any questions about this? Any thoughts or questions or whatever? There's 27 people in here right now, and nobody has a question. All right, cool. I can dig it. My voice, the melodious sound of my voice is lulling y'all to sleep, just grooving and enjoying the lesson. All right. Can you edit the individual sounds in the simpler? So, can you edit the individual sounds? RJ, you cannot. Oh, sorry, that's not RJ's, that was Kishan's. And then also was able to make with this in mind. What do you mean by this? Define this for me. So let me answer Kishan's question. Can you edit the individual sounds? No, you cannot. So I can play them together. So there's a couple things right here. So here's playback here. So if I wanted to play these sounds at the same time, right now it's in mono mode. So mono mode allows me to play one sound at a time. I can't play both at the same time, but if I put it into poly mode, that allows me to play multiple sounds at the same time. But that's about as much as you can actually edit things. You can't really edit things more than that. So it's great for if you, arpeggiators are great and stuff like that. So, RJ, can you show us the slice option? I see how it is. I see how it is. Over there listening to the new Nine Inch Nails record, aren't you? So that's about as much as you can do. And that's why I don't use the slice mode for much more than just like, oh, that's a cool drum sound, I just want to lift it real quick. It's not really great for much beyond that. It does make life much easier for that, but it's not like if you want to do more, if you wanted to actually edit the individual sounds, what I recommend is instead of using slice mode, right click and go to this one here, slice to new MIDI track. This one here, slice to new MIDI track. And what this does, one slice per transient usually. And now it puts everything into a drum rack. Let me turn my loop off. There we go. Now, let's say I want to put a reverb on that one hit, just right there. I want to put like a, let's EQ it a little bit, put a reverb on it. So I got that, where this one here, put a high pass, get rid of that kick drum. Not that much of it. There we go. So now I've got this sound. This one has a filter on it, but I could put a reverb on it. Right here. And, oh, you already do that? Okay, cool. And now, yeah, now I can edit individual sounds. Yep, exactly. So I got my reverb, and I can throw the reverb in here. There we go. Like that, so I can do that kind of stuff. Now, to go back and answer Linking Hearts' question, was Ableton made with this in mind, or just turned into a live performance DAW? It was actually made with this type of stuff in mind. Ableton Live actually in the beginning was not designed, well, I don't know what they had in mind in the very beginning when they were designing it, but it wasn't released as something that you could actually produce with, because it didn't have MIDI. The first 3 versions of Ableton Live version 1, 2, and 3, didn't have MIDI in them at all, so you couldn't make beats with it. They probably from the beginning had an idea they wanted to go in that direction, but it wasn't until version 4 that they introduced MIDI into the equation. So yeah, it took a while. So the earliest versions, you could lay out your audio, like you had to get audio from other places, and you could lay it out and you could perform with it and do stuff, but there were no drum machines in it. You couldn't put synthesizers into it. All you could have were effects in it. But it was so cool that it was still fun to mess with. I mean, I've been using it since version 1, and since the very beginning, I've been using Ableton Live because it was just fun to mess around with. And I was using it on stage when I was living in Japan. Yeah, it didn't, like version 4. And then from there, it's just kind of grown. And they've added all these other cool instruments and stuff into it. So that's that. And I mean, that's a lot. Oh, okay. So the next thing we want to do here is let's talk about a little bit more about these tracks that we've got. We've got all these tracks. Let me just put them all back on the same channel here. And I'm going to get rid of all this extra stuff that's gotten in here. I'm just going to get rid of all this stuff. Boom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to talking about I'm setting up a DJ set, like a DJ recording in Ableton Live. So I have these songs here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 2 channels. And what I'm going over right now here, let me just open it up in Canvas for you. Let's see, Canvas. Let's go in here, dashboard, this one, that's where I want to go. So I'm going to open up this final week here. And this one here that says DJ with Ableton Live. That's what we're talking about right now, actually. And I'm going to do that for John's class as well. Where is it? Week 12. Yeah, there we go. Oh wait, why is this not? Let me make sure it's something y'all can actually get. Do you use the crossfader much when DJing on Ableton Live? Not at all. Like, never. Somebody from John's class, just go and make sure that you actually have access to this here. Wait, hold on, edit, update. Did they change something? That's weird. I thought it would have a little, oh, I guess. Interesting, they, huh. Well, just make sure you can grab that PDF file. It's there, okay, cool, all right. Also, I just want to show you here, this one right here, this one that says SAE Daily Notes. That is literally all the Tony's notes for the whole module right there in one zip file for you. So if you have not been downloading these notes to your computer, there you go. I put them in there for you as one folder. It's supposed to be the last week of class, but since we're in this whole weird situation where who knows when we're going to be back at SAE again, then there you go. Early Christmas present. It's a, yeah, there you go. I was going to say Krampus, but he comes and eats your soul. So, not a Krampus present. It's a Christmas present. Or whatever you subscribe to. Whoever brings you gifts, it's a gift from that person. All right, so opening that up here. Let's go in here to teaching and class notes and DJ with Ableton Live. There we go. Okay, so all this stuff we've been talking about, and this has like a little basic thing about DJ setups and stuff like that. You can read through this. It goes into detail about all different stuff and how to set it up with your interface and your laptop and stuff. What I want to get into here is in the software here where it says your software setup. You're going to have 2 tracks and you're going to have EQ8 on each track. Now, one thing you could get is, I don't remember who was telling me about it, who was posting it in here. Oh, it was somebody from outside the classes talking about it a couple days ago, about the X for record stuff on Splice. And so I went and downloaded it, and one of the plugins is this, oh, I guess I didn't download it, or maybe it didn't install correctly. I thought I did. Anyway, whatever, I'll figure it out later. So what I use is the EQ3, like that. And I don't think the channel EQ doesn't do it, so let's not use that. And you put an EQ3 on each of your 2 channels. So first of all, you make 2 channels. I'll just drag this over here to this one. And I'm going to give them a name, channel 1 and channel 2. Whatever, channel A, channel B, whatever you want to call it. And so now, here's this one, channel 1 and channel 2. And this is like your 2 channels. Oh wait, that's not what I wanted. Yeah, EQ8. And this is like your 2 channels on a DJ mixer. And so the tracks on here would be like your CDJs or whatever it is you use to DJ with. And what we're going to be using is we're going to be automating the low and the high here for both of these tracks. Okay. So first of all, I'd get the order of the tracks that I want. And I always set mine at -10 dB, so there's not going to be any clipping on the output or anything like that. And so I've got this, turn off the loop. Cool. Make sure, I had set some loops up in some of these, so I'm just going to make sure the loops are all off. Yeah, here's the loop on this one. Cool. There you go. And this one's a weird one, so I'm actually going to put the start point back at 1. I'm not going to have all that weird intro stuff going on with this one. And so you got to make sure all that stuff's set up, and make sure your warp mode is set to complex mode for all of them, and it is complex. And now I'd figure out my order for them, so
Name girl, what's your name, girl?
this one here. There's that one. There's that one. Okay, so if I'm doing this, I mean, all right, so there's that. I'd go ahead and move that one up there because they're both soulful. And then this one here. This one's kind of soulful, but it's also got that real deep kick in it. Let's see how this one is.
Liberty, demonstrate, dance to the beat, march on the street.
I agree, Linking Hearts. Also, like having, you know, stuff key organized is not bad. All right, we're just gonna use this order right here, and I'm not really paying that much attention to my keys of things because there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 songs, and they're all in different keys except for these two. So let's do this. No, I'm going to keep this order. That's a tritone. That's a weird one, but whatever. So now I've got these songs here like this. So with this order, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these over to my other window. So I'm going to highlight them all, hit Command C to copy, drag them over like this, paste them in, Command V to paste. And now they're all going to show up in this window. And you can see they're all grayed out. Does anybody remember what is the key that we hit to make them so they are not grayed out? Yeah, you hit that red button, this button over here. I did mention the shortcut like real briefly one day. Does anybody remember what the shortcut is? Okay, the shortcut is F10. That's the shortcut. The shortcut is F10 if you're on a Mac, F10. I don't know about the Windows machine. I'll drag these down here actually. Boop, there we go. Now, I'm gonna take these, and you'd find a place where you would drop it in. Like if you're, you know, for those of you who are DJs and who do DJing, you know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna listen to this track a little bit.
I think I saw you yesterday. What's your name, girl? What's your name, girl? What's your name, girl?
That's not a bad part to drop it in. It's a little bit, it might be a little bit early in this. I mean, this is after 6 minutes. I think it's probably safe to drop it in right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop it in, but we still have, if I highlight over this, there's still about a minute of song left. That's fine. So I got this here. Now, I'm not gonna worry for now. I'm not gonna worry about the bass and stuff conflicting with each other or anything like that. And we're not gonna do the fade yet. We're gonna talk about the fade here in a second. So first I just arranged the order of things and I just put them together. You could, if you really wanted to, you could do your fades and stuff, but I've found just over time it's a little bit easier to kind of worry about that a little bit later. So now I got this here. Right, and then have that go there. And let's go over here. Cool, that sounds... Just gonna go through and... Cool, so that's not a bad place right there at 426 to drop the next one in. So I'm gonna drop this in right here at 426, because musically it works. And that's one of the things I'm gonna talk about tomorrow when I'm talking about DJing in general. Tomorrow is gonna be just a general DJ thing, and that's what I'm gonna be talking about tomorrow when we're doing that. It's like, why am I dropping in right here? Right now, I'm literally talking about how to do it in Ableton Live. So if you're not a DJ, or if you've never done any DJing or anything like that, this might be a little bit like, why is he putting it there? Tomorrow, I'm gonna talk about the why about that. So. The shortcut was F10. Go over here.
Down.
Awesome. Cool. So now I've got these laid out in a way that more or less makes sense. I'm just kind of throwing this together right now. It's not like super, I'm not like paying a whole lot of attention to it, but basically this makes sense to musical parts of each song. So now what we would do is I can get rid of this bottom part down here, and let's, that is Command Option L to hide, to get rid of that bottom part down there. And now what I want to do is I want to get my automation going on. So over here, I want to automate. I'm going to get up. Actually, I need that bottom part back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my automation by hitting A. And I'm going to click on what I want to automate. So I want to automate number 1 here. And I want to automate the frequency. So I click on the frequency and I hit the plus button here. Boop. So now I've got the frequency for this one. And then go back over here, and I want the frequency for the high frequency as well, for the low cut filter, or high pass, however you want to say it, or high cut rather, sorry. And hit the plus button there. And then I also want to automate the overall volume of the track, the level. And in this case, when I'm doing DJ sets, I don't use the utility plugin, I just do it in here. So I'm just going to click on it here and hit the plus button again, boop. And now the order is a little bit off here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just drag this down like that, boop, and I can change the order. Now I've got all my automation here for these. I'm going to go back to channel 2, delete it out, and I'm just going to hold down Option and drag this one onto channel 2. So now I have my automation. Oh, I don't? Oh, I thought I did. Wait, I should. Oh, I don't. Okay. Never mind. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab this and this one. And also my track volume. There we go. I thought it followed it over. Oh, I don't have any automation on. That's why I didn't follow it. Cool. So now I've got all my automation lanes here, and I can see what's going on with these automation lanes. So what I'll do is for each one here, if I'm just doing basic mix things and not really paying that much attention, if I'm just like doing quick basic things, I highlight the section, which in this case is the first, let's see here, I want it to come over and cool. So So what I'll do is I'll have this be, I'll cut my low frequencies here, and I pull that in like that. And I'm going to cut the high frequencies out right here. I'm going to cut stuff out like this. And just get these frequencies switching. So what's going to happen is, what I'll do is I'll do a little fade on this one here. And this is the crossfade part. I just put a dot right here, and I put a dot over here, and I just drag this down. And I can do a, I can curve it by holding down Option and dragging it up and down like that. So I can curve the line.
What's your name, girl? What's your name, girl? What's your name, girl? I think I saw you yesterday. What's your name, girl? What's your name, girl? What's your name, girl? What's your name, girl? I think I saw you yesterday. What's your name, girl? What's your name, girl? What's your name, girl? I think I saw you yesterday. What's your name, girl? What's your name, girl? What's your name, girl? What's your name, girl?
And what might want to do is just have that done by the time we get to there. So I'll just cut it. I'll just kill it by that point there. So we just start it.
Saw you yesterday. Name, girl, what's your name, girl? Saw you yesterday. What's your name, girl? What's your name, girl? What's your name, girl? What's your name,
Right, and then you have all that stuff that goes on there. And you can see how, like, what you do is just go through and listen to it and then make it so it fits. So, for example, over here, probably bring this up here until there. And what I'm looking at is I'm looking at the waveform here between this part and this part. And of course, I'll go back and listen to this after I'm just eyeballing it for right now. I'm going to cut this out right here so we don't have the two songs going past that point. So if I go in here, like this, maybe grab that, move it over, and let's listen to it. I don't like that there. So what I do is I'd have this going longer into here. Now, if you have a section of your song and you're like, you know what? I really need this to go longer. Well, that's one of the things that's really cool about using Ableton Live for this stuff is I can do like a quick, like almost like an edit, not a very nice, not a very good like edit, like well thought out. But if I need this to loop longer, well, I don't want that to loop longer. That's like, yeah, because there's too much going on between those two songs there. And then if I go over here, and obviously I'm not paying that much. I mean, like I'm paying attention to it, but this is not a perfect mix by any means. Go in here and say, drag this down. Putting some things in here. Little mix going on. This one fits better.
In the golden chair, madness everywhere.
Over here. And what you can also do is you can put these like kind of filter fades and stuff in here. So for example, that's where I would want to put it. Let's say 8 bars before that. Let's start like a little, like this thing going on. This. What's up, Tokyo? And so you can have these kind of like hold off, like, you know, drag them out a little bit longer than what, you know, like what you would do really for like a real live performance. You know, I might have this, like I might be messing with my filter or something a little bit more here. And you would listen to this a couple times. And then put a nice fade on it or whatever. So that looks like a pretty good place to stop it anyway. Yeah. And that mix works pretty well. And that's the basics of how you do it. Like obviously, I'm just showing you how to do this. I'm not saying these are perfect mixes by any means, but that's a good place to stop. I think after the break, what we're going to talk about, unless you have any questions about this stuff, but it's all there in the video so you can watch it later. But I think something good to talk about after this would be, I think somebody yesterday requested that we talk a little bit more about modular synthesizers today. And I think that's a good idea. So I want to talk a little bit more about the sequencing and just like what you can do with modular synthesizers. And I want to specifically talk about it inside of Reactor. But yeah, we're going to do that after the break. Yeah, so let's do that at 5 o'clock. It's now, so we got like 10 minutes or so. All right, thanks. I'll see y'all in a bit. Bye.